Hey, what up, body bags? I want to do a quick review for a movie that I just checked out, and I wanted to talk about this one particularly because Barnes& and Noble's having the Criterion sale, so I figured I'd talk about a Criterion kind of for the month or whatever. But the theme week is independent films, and one of the best debut independent films happens to be on the Criterion collection, so figured I'd talk about it, and that's David Lynch's Eraserhead, put out in 1977. And he got like a grant to fund part of this movie, but he ran out of money and he had to borrow money from a bunch of friends and people, and it took him like 4 or 5 years to make it. He had to record or film on weekends and stuff, and he had like his dad and people telling him to just stop making the movie, it'll never get made. But he ended up making it, and it catapulted him into one of the most iconic cult directors of all time. His show Twin Peaks won tons of awards, and it just came back recently, like a year or two ago. And his movies are highly regarded, but this was kind of the birth of it all. He was doing nothing but really paintings, and he wanted to make a moving painting. So that's why this film's really abstract, and it's almost like, if you know David Lynch, he never explains plots, and he wants you to kind of interpret it how you want to interpret it. And I really like that about this film. I think it's a flawless film, a 10 out of 10. I'm not even going to go into a plot. Just know it's really bizarre. It almost takes place on a whole different like universe, kind of. It's not science fiction, but it has an eerie quality. It's basically like as general as the plot I can give is Dude Henry, played by Jack Nance. He was in Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks and stuff, but he's having a baby, but the baby's like this weird alien like creature, and like I said, you can't really talk about a plot with this. It's more like an experimental art film, but it's almost like the first time you watch it, you just gotta let the art kind of wash over you of this film, and then on rewatching, kind of go in more with a critical eye and kind of form your own opinions. But it's definitely a film you gotta watch a few times, and I gladly do because it's such an amazing film. Like it's unlike anything you've ever seen. Trust me, it's black and white, but it looks beautiful. And as far as this transfer goes, it's immaculate. A flawless 10 out of 10 transfer. The blacks are deep. The whites are crisp. It's just a perfect transfer. And this film, like only feels like it could only be black and white. I couldn't even imagine this film in color. But it's awesome. And the special features, you get a documentary, new 4K transfer, you get 2K digital restorations on 6 short films he did before this, and there's a brand new documentary, there's archival interviews, a booklet, trailers, and all that. So, it's loaded. Criterion did a beautiful job with this. I think if you're going to partake in the Criterion sale, definitely pick up Eraserhead and even Blue Velvet. But since we're talking about indie films, I had to talk about Eraserhead. I think it's one of the best debut slash independent films of all time. It shows what you can do on a low budget if you just have the creativity and the imagination. Um, you can make something as iconic as this, and it's just a beautiful piece of filmmaking. I'm just a huge fan of this movie, and there's not a whole lot more I could say about it, so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, definitely give this a watch if you haven't checked it out. But I do gotta say, if you haven't seen anything David Lynch, I wouldn't start with this. I'd probably start with Twin Peaks or Blue Velvet, something more accessible or more understandable, and then kind of end with this. Even though it is his first film, I wouldn't recommend it as being your first David Lynch viewing. But anyways, guys, peace.